Think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-511-1551. 800-511-1551.
The new two-part documentary, Trump's Front Row Joes, is the first inside look at Trump's diehard fans.
The Front Row Joes are incredible people.
Camping out for days to be in the front row at every Trump rally to support their hero.
The kind of basis for all the rallies, there's like dead fans.
Trump's Front Row Joes, from executive producer Sean Spicer.
You had to love Mr. Donald Trump.
Trump's Front Row Joes. Watch it now. Go to salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Big technology stocks drove a rally for U.S. indexes as Wall Street grew even more convinced long-sought cuts to interest rates will be arriving soon. The S&P 500 jumped 1.6% for its best day in 5 months. The widespread gains came as Treasury yields eased in the bond market after the Federal Reserve gave the clearest indication yet that it could begin lowering interest rates in September. The Dow was up 99 points to close at 40,842. The Nasdaq gained 452 points to 17,599. The S&P 500 adding 85 points to 5522. New York oil rose $3.18 to $77.91 per barrel. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. We're warm this evening, the low temperature of 76. Tomorrow, brutally hot again with a mix of sunshine and clouds. Actual high of 98 to go with a heat index of 111. Friday's the same, very, very hot. Mid-90s for the weekend. Rain chances increase to 50% both Saturday and on Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, that number's bigger than the one I said.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And welcome in on this warm Wednesday edition of Sports Talk across South Carolina. Great to have you with us. Can you feel it? Can you smell it? Can you taste it? We're talking about football. That's right. Tomorrow, the Clemson Tigers hit the practice field. Presbyterians hit the practice field. Coastal's on the field. Wofford, Furman. Have I missed anybody? Some high schools. South Carolina on Friday.
Southern.
Charleston Southern's out there working, and they will all be falling into place, starting their camps in the next few days. Looking forward to following it all for you here on Sports Talk, talking about the what-ifs, the possibilities. Then, of course, reality strikes for some on the 24th, for some on the 29th, and for some on the 31st as we roll into the season. So, ACC Media preseason poll came out today. I don't know how Brett McMurphy got it before the ACC released it. At least I didn't have it in my email. I didn't see it on their Twitter. Maybe they put it on their website. I didn't look there. So we'll go over this in detail, but the ACC media, not exactly a bright bunch as a group, if I must say so myself. I mean, they're not any brighter than the SEC media or the Big Ten, the Big 12, or what used to be the Pac-12. None of them are very bright. But anyway, as a group, as a whole, I mean, probably average IQ is about 6.
Wow.
Well, I'm including myself in the group. Don't get me wrong. The media voted Clemson second in the ACC preseason ranking, behind Florida State and ahead of Miami. So there you go. There's some fodder for Danny Ford, for Dabo Swinney.
Danny too.
And Danny Ford. There's some fodder for Dabo Swinney to throw out there, as if he needs any, because I got a feeling the Clemson's going to be using the us against them mantra, the Roy bus. The rest of y'all, they're on the Roy bus this season, feeling the disrespect of the media about their football team for this coming season. Do you think it's warranted?
No, not really. I mean, did anybody expect them not to be picked first? I mean, I think the media probably put it where we thought they'd be, number 2 behind Florida State. I mean, they're the defending champions. They feel like they've got their program headed in the right direction. The question is, will DJ step in and be as good as Jordan Travis was last year? That's awfully lofty goals if that's the case. But otherwise, I mean, Florida State looked the better of the two teams clearly last year by a wide margin. And so I don't think they missed out. I think Clemson probably should be happy to be number 2, because you could have made the argument that maybe Miami would be right up there. Where did you pick Clemson?
I picked them 3.
Okay, yeah. Behind Miami?
Behind Miami. I went Florida State, Miami. Now, and I did it because, I mean, okay, Uiagalelei and Klubnik are pretty much a wash. I mean, when you look at what they've done, I mean, Uiagalelei's played more, but when you look at what they've done at Clemson, pretty much a wash at what they did with the Tigers. And then this quarterback that Miami has taken from Washington State, I mean, he looks like the real deal in all categories, thrower and runner, and he's got weapons around him because of the players that they have recruited here of late and brought in through the transfer portal, John. They've surrounded him with some quality players. So, and I mean, Miami is they didn't make the big move last year they thought they would. They gave, that Georgia Tech game away, just handed it to Georgia Tech, said, here, take it. We don't want it, so you take it. But I think they learned from that. I think that they grow from that. And, I mean, I like with Cameron Ward and the transfer Damian Martinez, who at Oregon State last season was a heck of a running back. So they've got the weaponry on their offense. How good's their defense? I think that's the question mark. They have maybe the best receiver returning in the ACC, and Xavier Restrepo. He was like 80-something catches last season. They got a good team. I don't think you can sleep on Miami this year. Now, we're going to find out very early. We're going to find out very early about Miami and about Florida because they play each other in Gainesville on August 31st. Somebody's going to, have their pride stung pretty quickly. After that, Miami's got Florida A&M, Ball State, and they play at UCF. So they're going to go to Gainesville. They're going to go to Tampa. Then they host Virginia Tech. So they've got an interesting start to the season in that they open up a very tough road game, 3 winnable games, and then a what should be a challenging ACC opener at home against Virginia Tech. So we'll see. We'll ask. We're going to find out a lot, and this is a question I want to throw out there tonight as well. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. We hope that you'll try to reach us. Love to hear your thoughts on what we're talking about. So Clemson, in the opening month of the season, month plus a week, with an off week in there. Georgia, Appalachian State, no slouch. NC State, nationally ranked. Stanford, bottom feeder, but maybe rebounding some. At Florida State. So are the Tigers going to survive their first 5 games in decent shape? I mean, if you go by my thinking, they're going to be 3-2. If they go 5-0, they're definitely national championship caliber. If they go 4-1, they'll still be in the hunt. If they go 3-2, they can start making plans for 2025. I mean, what is the best case, worst case scenario? Well, worst case, of course, would be like 1-4 or 0-5. Well, but I mean, Appalachian State's no slouch. We know that.
No, they've got one of the top quarterbacks that nobody knows about, and Joey Aguilar. Part of the reason they were picked to win the East Division of the Sun Belt. He was outstanding last year. They expect him to be even better. They feel like they've got all the pieces to the puzzle put together, and they need to win. Sean Clark, and he's a apt guy. Former offensive lineman there, their head coach. And, 8-9 wins at Appalachian, sort of like 8 or 9 wins at Clemson, not really good enough. And so he's got to take that program to the next level. And they'll be ready for that game, I can promise you. Now, whether or not talent-wise they can stay on the field with Clemson, that remains to be seen. But they they certainly will be motivated to play in that game for sure. And you would think the Tigers would either way, coming off a huge win over Georgia or the fear of dropping 0-2. One of those two things will motivate them going into that game.
Well, do you think Clemson, and here's another question, 888-898-2525. Do you think Clemson most likely will be 5-0, 4-1, or 3-2 after their first 5 games? So obviously, with what I've said, I got to be thinking 3-2 because I've got them behind Florida State and Miami, and so I've got to be thinking, and I'm thinking they'll lose to Georgia, so I've got to be thinking they're going to lose to Florida State. So I'm thinking they're going to be 3-2, and on to 2025 as far as their planning. What do you think? You think they go 4-1? You think they go 5-0? You think they go 3-2?
I think they're 4-1 through that first portion of the schedule. I still think some of the off the field situations are going to hamper Georgia. I don't know how that's going to play into the game, and who knows how they might actually handle it and legislate that within the team. How many guys would they sit down? Now, my feeling is Kirby Smart's not going to sit down anybody, but maybe it comes over his head, and they may have to make some tough decisions, the right decisions, but some tough decisions in their mind. And don't forget about the NC State game too, Phil. That one's a tricky one. How good is NC State? There's potential landmines through their first 5 ball games, with the exception probably of Stanford. Their talent-wise, they're better than Appalachian, but still, App State's proven they can go beat anybody, anytime, anywhere. But with NC State and Florida State and Georgia, I mean, if they get through October 5th, sitting at 4-1, they're in really, really good shape.
Well, historically, when you count Clemson out, that's when they bounce back and they're their best. So interesting things to talk about with them as they begin practice tomorrow. South Carolina opening up practice on Friday. Both head coaches will meet with the media tomorrow, and players will also be talking. Assistant coaches at South Carolina also will be talking. Have all that covered for you. So here is the preseason poll from the ACC media. And let's compare it to the corn poll. Here's the corn poll versus the ACC media poll. Which one do you think is more trustworthy? So we'll do it in increments of 5. So Florida
I will say
State,
this, as long as you didn't vote Boston College as the ACC champions, yours is considerably more trustworthy
somebody
than the
did,
ACC
didn't
media.
they?
Yes, they did. And I was going to ask you, what's more ridiculous, Vanderbilt getting 2 first-place votes in the SEC preseason poll or Boston College getting 1 in the ACC preseason poll?
Well, Georgia Tech got 1 and Cal got 2. All right, so, you got infiltrators at both locations. So
they should all lose their media credentials for that.
The official ACC preseason media poll, Florida State, Clemson, Miami, NC State, Louisville. And I went Florida State, Miami, Clemson, NC State, SMU. Okay.
Ooh.
Well, people overlooking SMU. They won 11 games last year. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
You've been high on them all preseason.
Yeah, we're just reading about them.
You may be the only one outside of Dallas.
Well, I'm impressed by their coach, impressed by what he can do, impressed by what they have done, impressed by some of their personnel. The official poll has Virginia Tech, SMU, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, and Cal 6 through 10. The corn poll has Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Louisville, Boston College, and Duke 6 through 10. And then 11 through 15, the official poll, Duke, Syracuse, Pitt, Boston College, and Wake Forest. The corn poll, I just feel funny saying that, has California, Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pittsburgh, and Wake Forest. And then your bottom feeders, the official poll, Virginia and Stanford. I think Virginia is going to be a little bit better than that. And I've got Syracuse and Stanford. Of course, Syracuse has the transfer quarterback from Ohio State, could make them a little bit better. Looks like Stanford, we agree on Stanford, and we agree on Florida State. Top and bottom, we agree on here. So that is the ACC's official preseason media poll. They will be releasing the preseason all ACC team, I believe, tomorrow, or whenever Brett McMurphy gives them permission. Now, I guess, I don't know. I saw him have it out on Twitter before it was in my email. And again, maybe it was posted somewhere. It went out. It came into my email at 4:59. So I was already occupied at that point.
You mentioned Wake Forest preseason pick down towards the bottom, 15th by the regular poll. And where did you have them?
I had them, by my poll, I had them 15th.
15th as well.
Mm-hmm.
You think Dave Clawson's starting to get, I realize it's Wake Forest, but considering when he had Sam Hartman, this is a team that was 11-3 just a couple of years ago and won the Atlantic Division, won the Gator Bowl. Do you think the seat starts to warm on him if he duplicates what they did last year and go 4-8, 3-9 again this season?
I think they'll be patient with him because this is going to be his 11th season, I believe.
Yeah, he's been there a while.
And he's done some great things with them. I think they kind of understand where they are with things. And it's schools, it's programs like Wake Forest that stand to really get hurt by NIL because they're not going to play the NIL game. With some of the players they might have gotten otherwise, I don't think they're going to play the NIL game. At least a few of the top-notch players, they're not going to recruit. They never have recruited that kind of elite prospect, the kind of prospect that draws your top offers. Typically, they don't get that, so they won't have to play the heavy spending game. But there might have been one or two that they would have had a shot at, that they will have no shot at now if it comes down to an NIL situation. By the way,
and how much can they play in the transfer portal too, considering all the different academic requirements that are necessary to get in and get through at Wake Forest?
I think that these schools are all making ways of getting these players into school. The transfers. Duke's taking transfers. They've taken several transfers in recent years. I guess you got to meet some type of academic requirement, but they've all loosened it up there. You know that. They're getting them into school one way or another, and so I don't think that would be a problem. I guess they've got to look at a certain level of academics with a player, but not like it used to be when it was ironclad.
Sure.
Duke was ironclad. Wake was ironclad. They were all ironclad, but that's before ironclad got you fired. All right, phone number 888-898-2525. Get to your phone calls in just a moment. I wanted to also mention that, what did I also want to mention? We talked about the preseason ACC, talked about what's coming up tomorrow. Tonight we'll hear from a couple of more coaches and your phone calls. We're pretty wide open for that. Our poll question has to do with USC running back Rocket Sanders. Arguably the best running back in the country at Arkansas 2 years ago when he rushed for 1,443 and 10. With the Gamecocks, will he rush for 1,200 to 1,500 yards, 900 to 1,100, 500 to 800, or under 500? And 314 votes, 51%, 900 to 1,100, 30.3%, 500 to 800, 15.6%, 1,200 to 500, and 3.2% believe that it will fall under 500. So the more yards he gets, the better for the Gamecock offense. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The junior college offensive tackle, this is why I don't make predictions any longer when it comes to commitments, because, had I had some form of predicting device, like you got your crystal balls and your RPM machine, I could use my cornstalk prediction. How many cornstalks do I put up for this particular prediction? But anyway,
I like that better than corn pole. That's really good.
Or corn cobs. We could do it with corn
The
cobs.
corn cobs, yeah. Exactly.
How
No,
many?
I did. The corn stalk that's clever.
Give them five.
That's
Give them
different.
5 corn stalks. That's up.
Mhm.
But anyway, I would have thought that this player was going to end up with South Carolina, but Kamari Landers this afternoon, just a little while ago, announced a commitment to Baylor. So after talking to him yesterday and indications, it looked really good for South Carolina, but he ends up committing to Baylor, who offered him yesterday like South Carolina did. So a miss for the Gamecocks on the recruiting front there. Okay. Anything else you want to kick around before we get to phone calls?
No, I think the big story obviously was the ACC media poll. I just find it fascinating how long it takes to get it out. But I guess the anticipation is finally whetted here a little bit since we got it this afternoon. I don't see any major faux pas in there. It's not like Clemson was picked 10th or, somebody picked Boston College to win the league. Anything silly like that.
No. Well, at least just one did. All right, let's get to phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And we go to, really? Well, let's strike up the band first of all. I like this. Dear Larry, Game Track Larry, happy birthday to you from your friends here at Sports Talk, and of course the thousands around the state who worship you and hang on your every word. Number 90, Gamecock Larry. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine. Good Lord willing, be 90 tomorrow. Run around the world, wound up 35 miles from where I was born, Old Swamp, South Carolina.
Beautiful place.
Thank you, Lord. But I had a good time, had a good life. The Lord's been good to me. But I'm going to tell you, Rocket Sanders will get 1,500 yards or better. And I see old Shane ain't doing too good in recruiting. They commit, then they decommit. But you win some and you lose some.
Yeah, I guess I should make a mention. I'm glad you brought that up because not only did they miss on that commitment, they had a player decommit today in Jaden Breaker, linebacker from Snellville, Georgia. We'll talk about all this in recruiting when we do the recruiting report. So that's a loss from the linebacking core. They lose him to LSU after he visited LSU last weekend. All right, go ahead, birthday boy.
But let me, these young men, they don't know what they're going to do. When I was young, I'd done some crazy things too. I might have went here and they didn't want to go there, so I came back where I started from, And I'm not worried about committing because I don't care what you do, how many stars you got, how good you think you are, how good people think you are. You got to show me on the field. That's what counts. Rocket Sanders, 1,500 yards or better. And I want to say one thing. Phil, Chris, Josh, Pat, Smitty. Now let me finish. I don't like to do this, but they want me to do it. They gonna have a drop-in Saturday, 11 o'clock on. Gamecock Larry gonna be in the recliner because I can't do nothing. Yeah, I'm gonna invite all you and all my friends, 100.7, all your friends, if you're down this way, drop in at 732 St. Matthews Road, Swansea, and see old Gamecock Larry. I'm gonna have some. We're gonna have ice cream and cake, snacks, and I just want to see you all hit you down this way, and you all have a special invitation from the old man himself, Gamecock Larry. And I will not call you tomorrow, Mr. Phil. I'm gonna see what you. Yeah, I will. You know I'm lying.
We know that.
But I love all you all, and I appreciate what 147. They let the old man run his mouth, and I really appreciate it. I look forward every day. It's 6:00 to Sports Talk. That's all I got to say. Love all y'all. Have a great day. Talk to you later.
All right, Larry, and happy birthday.
Did
It
he
ain't
say his
many
birthday
of
is
us who make
tomorrow?
it to number 90. No, today's the birthday.
I thought he said tomorrow. He said he
No,
turned 90 tomorrow.
Yesterday he said today was the birthday, didn't he?
That's what confused me. But I thought just a moment ago he said
Well, I'm not
tomorrow
sure he knows
would be
what
his
day it
90th
is
birthday.
anyway, so. I'm sorry, he might not know.
So either way, when you turn 90,
Yeah.
you should get a birthday week.
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't just
I
be
mean,
a
how many
birthday,
of us
right?
are going to make it to 90? You know, that's a good long run. That's a good long run.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, I was thinking today was the day. Well, if we're premature, so what? We'll let it roll and we'll count it as today. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate the phone call. We won't try to squeeze another one in just yet. Those of you holding, we'll get right back to you after we hit this bottom of the hour break. Make sure you pay attention to all the great sponsors of this show and of our stations, and make sure you go by and visit them or purchase online or however they are selling things. Please support them because they support us and they allow us to remain free. Free, the best word in the English language.
How would you get somebody to pay for your radio show?
Well, you could charge for streaming, you know. I just saw today, I'm not going to name it, but I just saw today one of the websites that covers the Gamecocks, they're going up $20 for their annual subscription. They're raising it $20. I guess it's worth it. I guess they feel like they have to, they're probably having to pay their people more. Everything costs more, but we don't. We've been free.
I will say unless their coverage is exclusively women's basketball over there, I'm not sure there's another team, maybe men's basketball, considering what they were able to accomplish this year, but it certainly shouldn't be going up off a 5-7 football season.
Well, you know,
should it?
Gamecock fans are a hopeful bunch, and they every year believe it's going to be a great year. But we shall remain free. But we need you to support those sponsors. And we'll hit the break and continue with your calls in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. We're warm this evening, the low temperature of 76. Tomorrow, brutally hot again with a mix of sunshine and clouds. Actual high of 98 to go with a heat index of 111. Friday's the same, very, very hot. Mid-90s for the weekend. Rain chances increase to 50% both Saturday and on Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee-Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks, y'all, and God bless.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the man accused of being the main plotter in Al-Qaeda's September 11th, 2001 attacks has agreed to plead guilty. That according to the Defense Department. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and two accomplices in the attack are expected to enter the pleas at the military commission at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, as soon as next week. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has set the stage for the central bank's first rate cut in 4 years. Powell cited greater progress toward lower as a cooler job market that no longer threatens to overheat the economy. Still, the Fed kept its key interest rate unchanged Wednesday at a 23-year high of 5.3%, despite calls from some economists and Democratic politicians to implement a cut Wednesday. On Wall Street, the Dow by 99 points. This is SRN News.
Summers are so special around the lake. The only thing that can make it more special is finally going ahead and getting your own new boat. There's never been a better time than now. Marine 360 has a great selection of 2024s, but they won't last forever. And here's why. Everything Brandon and Scott have in their inventory is available at or below invoice cost. And not because they're good guys, which they really are. And not because there's some gimmicky commercial like some guy hawking used cars. I don't do that. That's simply because the manufacturer's rebates from folks like Crest and Sea Hunt, well, they've never been better. So you win, but you need to get moving. As the season goes by, the selection will dwindle. So my suggestion, do your homework. Go online. Look at marine360sc.com. Make an appointment. Go see Brandon and Scott at Marine 360 right on Johnson Marina Road. Look at their showroom. Get a demo on the lake itself. This is the best boating value in years. Marine360sc.com. Or call them 749-2360. That's 749-2360, Marine 360.
Breathe fresh life into your home with Lake Murray Soft Wash. Our team specializes in power washing, soft washing, and restoration. From roof cleaning to wash downs, we've got you covered. For top-notch, affordable services that you can trust, call now. 528-1996 or log on to LakeMurraySoftWash.com to make an appointment. We're not just professionals, we're your neighbors. Whether residential or commercial, Lake Murray Soft Wash sets the standard in cleaning. Embrace the sparkling difference today.
Excuse me, would you like some expert advice on how to reduce your energy usage and save money?
Absolutely.
Did you know that Dominion Energy offers its residential electric customers a free home energy checkup?
Really? What's included?
A customized energy report and free installation of energy-saving products for eligible customers.
Does it take long?
An hour or two at most.
So, how do I sign up?
Go to DominionEnergySC.com and click Save Energy.
EnergySC.com. Here I come. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
Hun, did you see the power bill? I feel like we're trying to cool the outside with these old original windows from the house.
Yeah, they are old. They let the cool air out and the hot air in. Plus, they're really ugly. I think it's time we finally get those.
I think we need to call Redbird Windows and Doors.
Oh yeah, think of the Miller's house up the street.
I got their card when I was talking to the Millers. Here it is, Redbird Windows and Doors, 727-0561. Oh, and let's look at their website too, redbirdwindows.com.
Give me that number again, please.
727-0561.
Back on sport. What the heck's going on with the computer? It's chopping up our. That's good bumper music, but it's chopping it up. Or am I just hearing something funny? Was it chopping it up? Sound like it was breaking.
And
it was
speeding
breaking
it up.
That's kind of
like
weird.
the old CD that was skipping.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. 888-898-2525. I mentioned great sponsors here on Sports Talk. Great sponsors for our affiliates, and of course, one of our great sponsors is Jimmy Smith at James Smith Realty down at Pawleys Island. Make sure you stop by just to say hey to Jimmy if you're down that way and check out all the beautiful, awesome sports memorabilia that he's got. I mean, and not just Gamecock stuff, Clemson stuff, all around the ACC and SEC. People just give him things, you know. I don't know why. They just do. And he gives you great service. He and the staff take great care of you if you're looking for a place to stay for a vacation or longer. So just look up Jimmy Smith. The phone number is 843-237-4246, 843-237-4246, PawleysVacationRentals.com. His office is right on the border of Litchfield and Pawleys Island. So you leaving Litchfield going into Pawleys, right on your left, you'll see his very nice office. So stop in there and say, hello. Tell him Sports Talk sent you in there. All right. 888-898-2525. Back to your calls in just a second. Looking at some of the top results today at the Summer Olympics, USA men's basketball team victorious this time over South Sudan. No trouble like they had the previous time. 103-86. Serbia beat Puerto Rico 107-66. That was in men's play. Women's play, Serbia beat China 81-59. Also women's play, Spain edged Puerto Rico 63-62. Let's see what else we've got here. Women's soccer, which they refer to as women's football. France beat New Zealand 2-1. Let me find something else here of interest. I know that in the pool today, the United States did some good things in the pool, and just pull up a couple of the highlights from that today in the pool. Let's see here.
Speaking of the water, did you see that the French government actually cleared the triathlon to be swim inside the Seine River after it had all the issues with the E. coli bacteria? Evidently the swimmers, when they got out of the water, said, well, it didn't taste real good, and it also looked brown. I have a bad feeling that's going to turn out poorly. I can't believe that, well, I can. I mean, it is France, but I can't believe the IOC would allow that to occur.
In the women's 1,500-meter freestyle, Katie Ledecky was the winner of the gold for the United States. She sets a record with her 8th gold medal. And in the women's 100-meter freestyle final, Tori Husky of the United States earned the silver. A swimmer from Sweden won the gold medal. Just a few highlights from the Olympics today. Let's get back to your phone calls, 888-898-2525. And next, we're headed to Kool-Aid Jim. Not sure where Kool-Aid Jim is calling in from. We didn't get that information for some reason. Kool-Aid Jim, how are you? Hello, Jim. I give that great introduction. Kool-Aid Jim, are you there, sir? Going once. Going twice. I think he's gone. Where was he calling from? You don't know? Okay. Well, if we lost you, if you dropped, feel free to call back. 888-898-2525 is the phone number. If you'll update the list for me there, Josh, we'll be able to catch up with everybody. A couple of other things of note today. South Carolina women basketball announced some more games on their schedule. So they're putting out bits and pieces of their schedule drip by drip. So they got East Carolina. That'll be in Columbia on November 17th. USF in Columbia on December 15th. Charleston Southern at home December 19th. Wofford at home December 29th. And then UConn on Sunday, February 16th. All in Columbia, added to the USC women's basketball schedule. They have not put the whole thing together. They haven't gotten their SEC slate out there yet either. But bit by bit, it's coming together. All right, back to the phones. Tiger Bryan in Lancaster. We know who you are and where you are. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just doing great. I had to bail you out because I didn't want people to think that people didn't call in and enjoy your show like I do. You know what I mean?
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I know. Hey, but you know what? Old Gamecock Larry, I will call in tomorrow night and sing after birthday.
It was wait a minute.
Yes, tomorrow.
I thought
August 1st. Yep. You better.
Did he not say the other night the birthday was Wednesday night?
I mean, we got Thursday, but then when he called tonight, he said it was tomorrow.
So we got to do the whole thing again tomorrow?
Yeah, I remember him saying it was August 1st.
We got to do it. Tiger Bryan's going to lead off, la, 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 la.
I cannot believe that. Yeah,
Well,
Tiger Bryan, you got
good.
that kind of Chris Christopherson sound to you, do you?
Oh, man, don't tell her why I'm dead. She want me to tell her them sweet nothings tonight.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I'll tell you what, that nasty thing they done the opening of the Olympics I still ain't got over that. I ain't watched the Olympics since. I'm still pulling for the United States, all my people, but I can't watch that kind of mess. You know what I mean?
Upset a lot of people.
Yep.
Upset a lot of people.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pick me a few homegrown majors. I just had to call y'all in because y'all. I was gonna see. I was gonna see if somebody had done cut me off on the radio on the internet or something. Because y'all couldn't get nobody to answer the phone. I said, if they don't answer me, it's broke.
No, we're all good. We're all good.
All right, man. I hope y'all have a great night,
You
man.
too.
We enjoy the show. I'm gonna listen to it now.
Thank you, pal. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Y'all
Lines
have a good
open
one.
up, 888-898-2525. Today at Clemson, they had what they annually call the Big Weigh-In, and they published the results, the players stepping on the big scale in the middle of the weight room. It's a big thing over at Clemson. They do every preseason, the last day before they go out on the field. Always interesting to compare some of the weights, what players were and what they are today. Any significant changes? Tight end Christian Bettenker from 243 down to 235. Okay, lost a little weight there. Tight end Jake Brenningstool from 243 to 230. He lost a little weight. Let's see who else looks interesting here. Defensive tackle Heaven Brown Schuler. Somebody you got to think about on that Clemson defensive front. We talked about that last night, Chris. Somebody you got to talk about is Heaven Brown Schuler, even though he's a freshman. Came in at 312, weighed in today at 290.
Wow.
Vic Burley weighed 332, weighed in today at 315. So he has slimmed down. DeMonte Capehart went up from 316 to 320. They have an offensive lineman. He's a walk-on, Dominique Cardone. He tipped the scale at 364.
He tips it a lot, doesn't he?
60. He broke the scale. He broke the scale at 364. Oh, my gosh. Let's see who else looks good here. Who else? Not too much of a change there.
What was Maffa's playing weight last year?
Maffa. Let's see. These are in alphabetical order, so if you want to throw a name at me, I can scroll down the list. Maffa was weighing. Where's he at? There he is.
I'm saying 228.
He was weighing 228. Now he weighs 230.
Okay.
230. So not much of a change.
He probably needs to stay right around that. The way he runs, I'm thinking a little extra packaging probably is not a bad thing for him. I think that's probably a pretty good playing weight for him.
Darian Mayo, defensive end, went from 266 to 250. Blake Miller, 314 to 310. It's not too bad there. Offensive tackle. Let's see if anything else looks significant. Defensive tackle Peyton Page, 307 to 315, so he got a little bigger. Walker Parks, 304 to 310. And Harris Sewell, 308 to 315.
I'm hoping Quinn Kastner, the place kicker, does not have to make a tackle this year.
Yeah, he might.
Because I'm looking at 145 as his weight today.
145. Yeah, he might want to step to the side.
Yeah, he kicks off and then runs to the sidelines because he doesn't need to be involved in a play. Aiden Swanson's up near 170.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't want to see much of him. One thing you don't want to see, you want to have a good punter, but you don't want to see much of your punter.
Exactly.
You really don't want to see much of your punter. All right, those are some of the weights coming out of Clemson. Again, the Tigers hit the practice field tomorrow. They'll talk with the media. Dabo Swinney will before going out. South Carolina having a press day tomorrow, media day tomorrow for coaches and players, and they'll practice for the first time on Friday. Let me give you the early schedules for both teams. For Clemson, I mentioned tomorrow. Then Friday, Tigers will practice at 4:40. And Saturday, they'll practice. Well, they don't give us any times right now after Friday. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then pick it back up next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. South Carolina practicing the first time on Friday. They'll hit the practice field at 9:23 and on Saturday at 9:23.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to. You can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
We're with Mayor of the Department of Natural Resources, Major Downer. It's the fall in South Carolina. That means it's deer season. What do people need to know about?
That's right, Phil. It is deer season. We always want to remind hunters to identify your target. Know the identifying features of the game you're hunting. Make sure that it's a deer before you take that shot. When walking to and from your stand in low light, use a flashlight so that no one will mistake you for a deer. For more information on hunting safety and more information on deer season, listen to our show on Wednesday nights on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Deep in the heart of racing country lies a track too tough to tame. The perfect setting for the late season drama of the Southern 500.
Outside lane gets the launch.
One last chance to make a playoff push. One last chance to catch regular season racing. One last chance to plan a Labor Day weekend worth bragging about.
Southern 500, baby.
NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 31st and September 1st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. About playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
I don't think I've ever been more.
All right, coming up top of the hour, we're going to hear from Mack Brown. Didn't get to Coach Brown, get to him, and also check in on the Tennessee Vols. Josh Heupel, hear from him about his team for this year. Phone number 888-898-2525. Try it again up in Anderson now. We've got the location for Kool-Aid Jim. What's up, Kool-Aid Jim?
How are you, Phil? Can you hear me this time?
We got you loud and clear.
Awesome. Listen, first-time caller. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I was going to tell you today is actually my birthday.
Okay.
July 31. So just letting you know, man, I identify as 30. So I expect y'all to respect that, even though it's the 26th time I'm going to.
I like that, man. Hey, you know what? You're as old as you feel. And you're as old as you think you are. So if you think you're 30, more power to you.
I appreciate it. Now, if I have to go by how I feel, I'm 80.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not doing too well. But you know how that goes.
Yes, sir. Certainly do.
Now, listen, I gotta tell you, being up here, I'm in Tiger country, and I am a Clemson Tiger fan. I actually got the Kool-Aid name from Dabo Swinney because of Dabo Swinney when they hired him. I took off drinking the Kool-Aid, and everybody told me that I was, another Jim trying to feed the masses Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
But that turned out a little bit bad for them. I had it right. But I will say this. I do got to say this. I kind of understand people being a little leery to want to pick Clemson based on the last 3 years. But there is something I keep telling people. You got to look at this whole thing completely. Clemson's last 3 years has been highly result of injury. That Clemson's, especially offensively. You go all the way back to 21. Clemson started out the season with Georgia and gave that Georgia team everything they wanted and then some. And it turned out, held Georgia's offense scoreless. And not another team the rest of the year played anywhere near as good against Georgia until they played Bama in the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that team was, I think that Georgia game was more indicative to how good that team really was when they were healthy. Now, the issue becomes now is health. You look at 22 and 23, they went through the same thing. Wide receiver room, the offensive line room was complete mash units, and they have not been able to put the same starting team on the field from the first game to the last game in any of these years. Now, how does that transcend this year? Now they should be a lot deeper because they've played a lot of these kids, and a lot of these kids are coming in that are not green. They're not having to put, green kids on the field at least through the 2 deep, in some cases 3 deep on the offense with the line and the also with the wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
If they stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, and they will be healthy against Georgia, barring something crazy happening in practice, then you're going to see a Clemson that's going to resemble the Clemson of old. And you're going to see, it's going to be fun for you. Watch the media narrative after the Georgia game, because most people believe Clemson's going to get boat raced in that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the narrative. Don't be surprised if Clemson don't come up feeding a lot of crow to a lot of people and they actually win that game, especially considering the state of the Georgia team coming in. Now Georgia's still Georgia, but I still think Clemson's going to give them everything they want. And I think Clemson's going to win the game, if you want to know the truth.
Do you
and I believe it's going to.
Do you think, so much of what happens rides on the back of the quarterback. Now you got to give Georgia
Right.
You got to give Georgia the edge at quarterback, but do you think that Klubnik is going to be that much more improved over last season to elevate Clemson? Is he going to rise to the occasion, so to speak?
All right. Well, this is the thing. Yes, I do, and I'll tell you why. Number one, he should have a cohesive, experienced, and a very talented offensive line in front of him. Now, the funny thing is people go, where are you getting at? Well, these guys have always been talented, but they've not been cohesive. They've been injured. They've been hurt, and they've had to put freshmen and plug freshmen in, throughout the season. They've looked awful during times. So he hasn't had – he's been sacked, and it's caused him to make bad decisions. And remember, he started first time last year. So you're going to have an improved offensive line, and you're going to have an improved receiver core coming in healthy as well. And that's going to be another big thing. They've been plugging in wide receivers, starting wide receivers that shouldn't have been starting due to the injuries over the last few years. These two things are going to elevate your quarterback's perception immensely, okay? And it's going to help. Now, back to what you just said. Also, you got to consider the fact that Clemson's defense is going to be absolutely stellar. They're going to be stellar, especially up front and especially on the back end. And the linebackers are going to be great too, the problem Clemson's defense got this year is if they get two linebackers hurt, then that defense could get into some severe issues if they get one or two hurt there. You don't want to lose Barrett Carter and Drew Woodaz. You don't want to lose both of them. Them two have to stay healthy. But the rest of that defense is as good as possibly as good as it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I think happens with Georgia. I think they harass. I think the line is going to be in the backfield the whole game against Georgia. I don't think they're going to be able to handle Clemson's front. And they're good enough on the back end, if they do, that they're not going to get beat. They're not going to get burnt. So not every play. So I'm giving Georgia 13 points, but don't be surprised if they don't make it there. And I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but just remember this call, and if they win, lose, or draw, I'll call you back. You got my word. I'll call you back and talk to you about that game.
You got it.
Thank you for your love the show, man. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. And listen,
that was a terrific call.
Yeah, and listen, everything he says is possible.
Yeah, that's why I liked it. He gave his opinion, but he also had reasons behind all of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's reason to think Clemson can beat Georgia. There's reason to think Clemson can beat everybody on their schedule. But there's also reason to think the other way, too, and think that Clemson could have a stumble or two along the way. If Klubnik comes out and shines against Georgia, if he outplays Beck and leads Clemson to a win, then obviously they're for real. And that's the kind of game that there's no argument about it. It gives you a true indication of what you're going to be about. He mentioned the game against Georgia when they played in Charlotte a couple of years ago, and neither team scored a touchdown. Remember that? Both offenses just flailed away out there.
Offensive touchdown. Didn't Georgia get
That's what I mean, yeah. I'm
they
sorry.
Won it, defensive touchdown or special teams, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Clemson struggled offensively the entire season. So that was a pretty good telltale sign of what was ahead. Both defenses, of course, were great, and we knew that was going to be the case. So we'll have a good indication here. I mean, this is good on good. And we're going to find out right off the bat. And as we mentioned, the first 5 games for Clemson will certainly tell the story on their season and if they're going to be playing in the college football playoffs come December. So crucial for them to be good, to be healthy, and ready to play right off the bat. Do you like that as a coach? Some coaches will tell you, yeah. Some coaches would say, I'd rather play kind of a warm-up game to kind of get our feet wet before I face a big dog, so to speak. Top of the hour break, and we'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Federal Reserve held interest rates steady Wednesday, but investors are hoping that the first rate cut in more than 4 years could come soon. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said the central bank needs to see more good data before deciding when to start cutting rates.
The question will be whether the totality of the data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks are consistent with confidence on inflation and maintaining a solid labor market. If that test met, a reduction in our policy rate could be on the table as soon as the next meeting in September.
Still, the Fed kept its key interest rate unchanged Wednesday at a 23-year high of 5.3%, despite calls from some economists and Democratic politicians to implement a cut Wednesday. There's been an arrest involving the Secret Service detail for Vice President Kamala Harris's stepdaughter.
A New York City software developer was arrested after allegedly damaging the license plates of 2 Secret Service vehicles assigned to protect Vice President Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, who was dining at a restaurant in Tribeca at the time. The man, Harry Heyman, appears to be a supporter small group of citizen activists who call attention to and sometimes personally adjust the obstructed license plates often used to evade tolls and traffic enforcement. An X profile bearing the suspect's name shows dozens of messages about the issue. Heyman was charged with obstructing governmental administration and criminal mischief. Julie Walker, New York.
The man accused of being the main plotter in al-Qaeda's September 11th attacks has pleaded guilty. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 2 accomplices in the attack are expected to enter the pleas at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, as soon as next week. Good day on Wall Street as the Dow was up by 99 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
When you own a boat, life on land is a tough sell.
Come on down to Land. It's the place where you get to do so much waiting. You can wait in traffic, drive-thrus. You can even wait at the doctor's in a room specifically made for waiting. It's Land, baby. Come and sit patiently for a while, then wait even longer. It's Land.
Life on a boat is way more relaxing, and it's even more relaxing when you protect your boat with Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, #1 rating based on 2022 boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-511-1551. 800-511-1551.
Directed.
A Florida Republican congressman pledges a parallel independent investigation into the Trump assassination attempt. We hear more from correspondent Bernie Bennett, who has the details from Washington.
Representative Corey Mills of Florida pledges to fund a, quote, parallel independent investigation into the attempted assassination of former President Trump, expressing disappointment at not being selected to sit on the task force to investigate the rally shooting. Speaker Mike Johnson and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries announced Monday the 13 members of the bipartisan task force to investigate the attempt in which a 20-year-old gunman left Trump injured, 1 rally attendee dead, and 2 others severely injured. Mills, an Army veteran who has founded defensive contracting and private security companies, referenced an investigation into the matter that he conducted with Arizona Republican Eli Crane, a former Navy SEAL sniper, and conservative media personality Benny Johnson. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. We're warm this evening, the low temperature of 76. Tomorrow, brutally hot again with a mix of sunshine and clouds. Actual high of 98 to go with a heat index of 111. Friday's the mid-90s for the weekend. Rain chances increase to 50% both Saturday and on Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back. It is Sports Talk. Sports Talk Media Network. Glad you're with us. You know, I like to consider Sports Talk, Chris and Josh. There's a lot of shows out there, you know, all day long, morning, noon, afternoon, of course, night. We've always been the 6 to 8 program here in the state. 6 to 8 used to be the spot for sports talk shows. That's where it originated, usually 6 to 8. And I consider it to be the 6 to 8 hour. That's the hour for the employed, you know, people going home from work. They've been working all day. They're not sitting around watching cable TV, eating Lay's potato chips, talking on message boards. I mean, they're at work. They're trying to make a living. We're the show for the living, for the.
That's good. I definitely don't
For
want to
the-
be the show for the dead, but yeah,
We're the
no,
show
I'm
for the
happy
living.
we're for the living.
For the trying to make a living. You're going home. You're picking up Sports Talk on the drive home, the afternoon drive home. We appreciate that. Not that there's anything wrong with Sports Talk shows from 6 a.m. to 10, 10 a.m. to noon, noon to 3, 3 to 5, whatever. But that drive home time, 6 to 8, that's where you reach the people. That's the working people. That's the people with the money. That's the people the advertisers on Sports Talk want to reach out to. So that's who we're talking to for the most part, and we appreciate that, with a few exceptions. Catch up on a couple of other notes. Tell me again, you were telling me off the air that little bit of is it Instagram or X battle going on between some Gamecocks and Juice Wells?
Yeah, Nick Emanwari off of USC's football team, his Instagram post is being retweeted all over social media, and basically it's a picture of Juice Wells in his Ole Miss uniform, and they've just changed one word. His name is now, according to the Gamecocks, and Nick Emanwari in particular, Judas Wells. Of course, if you don't know, the one who betrayed Jesus, so not the name you want to, you're applying to someone for affection.
No, doesn't sound that way. Well, you know, I'm sure there's some hard feelings, and they'll get a chance. Nick, in particular, being a safety, he's going to get his shot at Juice or Judas, whatever he wants to call him. He's going to get his shot in early October. I think that's when Ole Miss comes to Columbia.
Yes.
So that should be a
my guess is-
heck of a ball
my-
game and a heck of a setting.
My guess is if Emanwari feels this way, the majority of his defensive teammates do as well, and they will not miss that opportunity. You better not. The whole saying about you take a swing at the king, you better not miss. Well, you start posting stuff like this, you better be able to back it up.
Absolutely. If not, it flies up in your face, and you don't want Juice to squeeze you. Ba-doom, boom.
Very nice.
Story by John Blau, the Post and Courier. You know, we've talked about here about, I gave you my thoughts on what I think is going to happen. We talked about it last night with the Florida State and Clemson versus the ACC and how much this thing's going to eventually cost the two schools. I think eventually this thing's going to be dropped. I don't know what you could settle. Settling, I don't think, is an option here. What can the ACC give to Clemson and Florida State to make them settle? They've already given them the redo of the payout to where you can earn more money by being successful, right?
Right.
I don't know what else the ACC can give. And, of course, Clemson has nothing to give to the ACC. So I don't think it'd be a settlement. I think it would just be a dropping of the case at some point. So John Blau wrote a story today in the Post and Courier. Clemson's attorney fees in the case could exceed $1 million in the coming months. According to documents obtained by the PNC, the university received approval from the Attorney General's office to pay 4 law firms up to $975,000 through June 30th of next year. Oh, you know, now, Attorney General Wilson, we all know he's a Gamecock, right? He picks games on Sports Talk. He's a Gamecock. What do you think his thinking was back in his office when this proposal came in front of him? How much money should we give Clemson to spend on this case? His probably initial reaction was, we'll give him $150. No, he's being fair.
Yes.
He's being fair. You know, he's a man of the people. He's a man of all the constituents of South Carolina. So, and I'm not even sure he's the one that signs off on it, but it's from the South Carolina Attorney General's office. So, up to $975,000 through June 30th of 2025. This is on top of Clemson's original request for up to $475,000 to retain 3 law firms for the first 3+ months of litigation against the ACC. It's unclear, John writes, it remains unclear how much the university has paid to date, though because these authorization requests just specify how much can be spent, they are not invoices for work already performed. The price of Clemson's lawsuit pales in comparison with the $140 million exit penalty the ACC wants to impose on members who leave the conference before the end of the deal with ESPN, which could run until 2036. Clemson is challenging the ACC's assertion that it maintains ownership of the Tigers' broadcast rights if and when they no longer play in the ACC. All right, so we know what this is all about. We know what they're fighting over. Only athletic department funds will pay Clemson's attorney fees, according to a university spokesperson, which includes money from private donors. While Clemson says it isn't using taxpayer dollars to pay its lawyers, the university must receive authorization from the AG's office to retain outside counsel, and it must seek renewals each fiscal year. The four law firms approved for July 21, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 were Wilson, Jones, Carter, and Baxley in Greenville, Nelson, Mullins, Riley, and Scarborough in Columbia. I wonder if that's Ron Scarborough who calls the show. Think that's the same Scarborough?
I don't know.
I don't think it is.
Good question. I do not know.
No, I don't think it is. Ropes and Gray in Boston, and Parry Law in Chapel Hill. All but
No
Parry
Dewey, Cheatham,
Law.
and Howe?
They'd win their case if they brought them in. All but Parry Law were part of the initial approvals in March. In this current fiscal year, Clemson's authorized to pay Nelson Mullins the most, up to $500,000, bringing that law firm's total to upward $750,000. Yeah, I was by their office the other day. They have an office on Main Street, and I did see a couple of nice new Lamborghinis parked out front.
With a tiger paw on the front?
I don't know. It could have been anybody's, could have been a ball player's, but who knows? Ropes and Gray can receive up to $250,000, bringing the max payout to $400,000. Parry Law, which is heading up Clemson's defense against the ACC's countersuit in North Carolina, can be paid up to $150,000 through June 25th. So there
this
you
is
go.
clearly peanuts, Phil, if it works and Clemson's able to get out of the ACC and get into another league with what they believe is a better TV deal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you come to a situation where they ultimately have to drop the lawsuits, it's a ton of money that Clemson would have wasted for no reason.
Yes. One of Nelson Mullins' attorney is making $350 an hour. Well, that happens to be Clemson trustee David E. Dukes, who has appeared in court on the university's behalf in the case. Okay, so a good way to get wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you're going to hire somebody, hire one of your own and pay them $350 an hour.
Sure.
Did you ever make $350? I made $350 an hour back in the day. That's $3.50. Hello. Dukes is the only attorney from all four firms making more than $325 an hour.
Why a law firm in Boston?
Well, there's different aspects to what they're doing. Like you notice, one is handling the angle of the case against the ACC, the countersuit. That's Parry Law, which is handling the countersuit. Mm-hmm. So I imagine the one in Boston's handling a particular angle of the lawsuit that maybe they specialize in. I imagine that's the case.
I just found, which one does not belong. That one stuck out like a sore thumb when you've got a Greenville attorney, a law firm, you've got a Columbia firm, and then a Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Those three made sense.
Mm-hmm.
The one in Boston just seemed to be an oddball.
Well, John Blau wrote about this. It's in the Post and Courier. You can read all about it in the Post and Courier as he stays on top of this story. And a couple of other things to mention. And our phone number, 888-898-2525, if you want to chime in. On a more upbeat note, College of Charleston golfer Molly Hardwick qualified for the upcoming U.S. Women's Amateur, qualified at 5 under with a 65 in the Franklin Bridge qualifying tournament, second straight Cougar to qualify following Adrian Anderson's appearance a year ago. And a reminder, South Carolina Amateur Golf Championship, South Carolina AM, begins tomorrow at the Country Club of Charleston. So we'll bring you up to date on that as it progresses. All right, phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number. We do go to the Scarborough Law Firm. This is the Greenville branch. Ron, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, this is Attorney Ron.
Are you
Y'all need
related?
to show
Are
me-
you related to
you
that
need
law
to show
firm?
me more respect.
Because Clemson, they're using their own to defend them. So you're one of their own. I thought maybe that might be you.
Yeah, well, it is me. I don't like to take credit for that, but it is.
Okay.
Attorney Ron Scarborough. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Today, I watched the Atlanta Braves play. And did you know that twice they had back-to-back batters hit home runs?
Back-to-back twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
First time that's happened for the Braves since 1998 in a game.
Yeah.
Did you know the Yankees
it
won
was,
again today? Did you know the Yankees swept the Phillies in Philadelphia today?
That's helpful for the
Oh,
Braves.
did they really? That's great.
Yeah.
That should put the Braves about 5 games back.
I think 7.
Oh,
I think
you
they
do?
were 8. I think they were 8 going in. This would make them 7.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think on
Well,
that. Mm-hmm.
I'm just a lawyer. What do I know?
I know. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good legal battle.
That's right. You said that right.
All
Did you know Burns is building a new high school football facility?
Saw that. I saw a picture going back early this summer. But now they're going to play their games. They're going to play nothing but road games this year, right?
That's true. Every game's on the road.
Wow. Talk about a test for your team. Now that's a challenge.
Yeah. But Burns is Burns. They'll probably win about 7 games.
Make the playoffs. Make a run. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, everybody makes the playoffs.
Wouldn't be surprised. All right, Ryan, thank you, man. We're going to let you run. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Good hearing from you. Keep in touch. Let me just double check here my math on the Braves. No, I'm wrong. 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
Yep.
6.5 back. I was a half game off. They're 58-49. Philly is 65-43. The Mets are 8 back at this point. Game and a half back of the Braves. So the Braves took 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee, right? If they won that game, did they end up winning that game today? I'm assuming
Yeah,
they
it was
won
Olsen
the game
and
today.
Travis d'Arnaud that went back-to-back and back-to-back.
Yeah. I'm assuming.
And they won 6-2.
6-2, yeah. So I think that was the rubber game of that series. So they took 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee after just splitting with the Mets. So they're playing a little bit better after they hit the skids there for a little bit. We'll be back in just a moment. Going to hear from North Carolina football coach Matt Brown coming up. Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III, heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5.
Oh, appliances, we can't live without them, and eventually we have to replace them, but we don't have to pay more for the new ones. Not with Carolina Discount Appliances. Do you want to go and shop at a bunch of retail stores and determine which one has the lowest overpriced item? Me neither. That's why my first call is always Discount Appliances. The philosophy is simple. No retail prices. None. It might have a scratch or a ding, but overall, it's new and will cost you much less than what you're going to pay anywhere else. So if you need a refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, range, or microwave, they've got you covered. But for less money. Same brands, same appliances, less money. And Carolina Discount Appliances is the home of the $40 down. Take it home today. No credit needed payment options. Regardless, Sherry has you covered. Call today, 803-770-3008. That's 770-3008. No matter where you're located, same number, same person, Sherry at Carolina Discount Appliances, 803-770-3008. It saved me money. It'll do
Last throw, big guy.
Come on, baby. I need me a giant bear.
I got this. I am the target. Ben, throw. Oh, well, look who won a giant bear. That's a grizzly.
Oh, Mama's baby bear.
When you join the South Carolina Education Lottery's Players Club, you get way more than you expect. More chances, more wins, and more surprises.
Yeah, he's had all his shots. Just don't look him in the eye.
Join the Players Club at seeducationlottery.com because more happens here.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. Not a Founders member yet? Founders has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 to work on your injury case.
Put it on that beat. Nope.
Let's hear from Mack Brown, shall we? North Carolina football coach coming off a disappointing 8-5. I think they were one of the big disappointments in the country last season. With the talent they had to go 8-5, you know, that was embarrassing from a North Carolina standpoint. After beating South Carolina.
Yeah, and especially the way they looked in the opener.
Yeah, and then Appalachian and Minnesota and Pittsburgh and then Syracuse, they were rolling. And then Miami, but then somehow they managed to lose to Virginia. They managed to lose to Georgia Tech. They lost to Clemson. They lost to NC State. And they lost their bowl game, playing without their quarterback, of course. So 8-5, that's not what they had in mind. Here is Mack Brown the other day at ACC kickoff, talking about this season.
We're excited about a college football season. It's fun. Got a lot of changes that we're all dealing with and navigating with. But it's fun to learn to navigate. And those that handle COVID, because we had never been in a situation with COVID before, the ones that handled it the best won the most games. The ones that are handling NIL and transfer portal the best, instead of griping about it, are going to win the most games. That's just what you do as the structure in college football change and moves forward. But NIL is a great thing in so many different ways because the players get paid. And our guys are using NIL for charities. They're using it to reach out and help their brand. They're using it to get to meet new boosters. One of our guys was talking about the storm damaged the roof on the house, and Mom was able to fix the roof because of NIL money. We've got a young guy with stage 4 cancer that he's been able to help some of those costs. His mother's a police officer, help her that we can't pay. So it's really helped him. Tez Walker, when he was dealing with his NCAA stuff, was able to get an attorney. We couldn't have done that 3 years ago. So there's so many things that our guys are doing. They're helping with table to feed kids that are poor and can't eat. I can't imagine a child not eating. We're all so blessed. We get to eat when we want to and what we want to. 35 of them were at Habitat for Humanities on a Saturday afternoon when it was 97 degrees. Connor and a bunch of the guys the other night were raising money to fight an awful disease. So NIL for us has been good. It's a great learning experience, and the guys have handled it really, really well, and I'm really proud of them. Just quickly to reflect on our last 5 years, really proud of the things that have been accomplished. We are the best in academics with the APR in the ACC this year. We've had the best 4 years in North Carolina history. So I'm proud of that. These guys are tied with Northwestern for the third best APR in the country. And that's they come to school to get a degree. That's going to help them even more than the NIL money that they're going to get when they get out. So I'm really, really proud that these guys have the best academic situation right now in the history of North Carolina football, the best in the ACC and the third best nationally. We are also second in the ACC with number of draft choices over the last 5 years. That means our coaches have done a good job of recruiting. It means we're developing young people. And a lot of those guys are getting opportunities at the second level, and I'm really proud of that. And third, we're tied with NC State for the second most wins in the ACC in ACC games over the last 5 years. So I'm really, really proud of that. We've been to an Orange Bowl, which North Carolina's never done. We've won a Coastal Championship, which North Carolina had only done once in our history. So a lot of wonderful things that these guys have done. We won some games that we shouldn't have won and really surprised some people. We've had national rankings that are really high. What we haven't done, though, is we've lost some games that we shouldn't have lost. And that's really hurt us. We've lost some games where we were the better team. And that comes back to me. That's on coaching. That's on us, because we've had good enough players to do that. We haven't finished the seasons like we should. The old adage of fans and media remember November, that's why we don't have the respect nationally that we should have over the first three comments that I made, simply because we haven't finished right. And we've played some really good teams at the end, but we've lost to our rival 3 years in a row. One of our rivals, and you can't do that. And that's the end of the year. We lost to Clemson in the title game. We lost to Oregon. These are all good teams, but to be where we want to go, we've got to win those games. So our whole focus since the end of last season is, why are we not finishing right? Coach Bowden he had a quote that kind of said, if you keep making the same mistakes, you're going to have the same results. And that's true. So why not change? So we're going to play more people. We've got to play more people and create more depth. We've said it for 5 years. We haven't done it. We've got to do it. And Jeff Collins coming in is committed to doing that, and we'll do it on offense as well.
All right, Mac Brown. Spent a lot of time defending himself there, Chris, in some ways. I mean, I guess when you have a 5-loss season, when you're expected to win a championship, talk about your academics.
Well, and that's a funny statement coming from a head coach at North Carolina, especially considering since 2016, they have the second lowest graduation rate, only ahead of Florida State in the ACC. I'm not sure I'd tout 77% either.
Ouch.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. We're warm this evening. Tomorrow, brutally hot again with a mix of sunshine and clouds. Actual high of 98 to go with a heat index of 111. Friday's the same, very, very hot. Mid-90s for the weekend. Rain chances increase to 50% both Saturday and on Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey Columbia, did you know there's a beautiful sporting clays course, rifle range, and 200-person event center just 30 minutes from downtown? The Palmetto State Armory Outdoor Range in Swansea, South Carolina has everything you need to prepare for this upcoming hunting season, from sighting in your rifle to knocking off the rust on your shotgun. Are you looking for somewhere to host an event or fundraiser? We have everything you need to make your outing one they won't forget. Come check us out at 1201 Redmond Mill Road in Swansea, South Carolina. Find us at facebook.com/PSA Outdoor. /PSA Outdoor.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. People close to President Biden say he's adjusting to a new reality 10 days after ending his re-election campaign. Privately, the Democratic president is smarting over those who orchestrated the abrupt end of his 50-year political career and processing a mixture of emotions. There's a mixture of bitterness and regret, but also relief at not having to run a grueling race against Republican Donald Trump. President Nicolas Maduro has asked Venezuela's Supreme Court to conduct an audit of the presidential election after opposition leaders disputed his claim of victory. Maduro's announcement Wednesday criticism from foreign observers who said the court is too close to the government to produce an independent review. On Wall Street, a good day as the Dow was up by 99 points. The Nasdaq rose 451. This is SRN News.
I was thinking about the things that matter to me when it comes to calling the plumber. First, most of us call the plumber out of a need, often a crisis. So you want reliability. Then, we're in a vulnerable place already, so you want someone you can trust, someone who will be fair in their pricing and handle things professionally. These are some of the reasons I feel comfortable recommending Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, they've been out to my home. They've been out to my brother's home, too. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning did such a great job. And you know, maybe this might not matter as much to some people. Owned. A lot of these plumbing companies you've heard of used to be local, and now they're owned by big national or even international conglomerates. Working with a locally owned company matters. It keeps your pricing down, and the money stays local here in the community. Josh and his team at Franklin makes customer service their top priority. I trust them. You can too, especially during these vulnerable times. Online, it's franklinplumbing.sc.com or call them 799-2222. That's 799-2222.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936. Offering old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes in. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have worked to create a space where listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of The Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, make this year extraordinary.
It gets hot in South Carolina. Seems kind of crazy that if you got a home or you got a business, you're sick of the power companies controlling you, demanding rate increases every 6 months, sick of your power bill going up. You can't even pick your power company, but you can choose Broker Solar to give you some control over that bill. Solar panels are not free like some of these stupid yard signs say. These door knockers often, well, they're scam artists. Not Broker Solar. They don't go knocking on the doors. I told Ken I want some incentive for our Point family listeners. So purchase a system from Broker Solar. Your first solar panel is free. Look, I'm not into scare tactics, but this is an election year, and the way things are going, well, maybe it's time to stop relying on the government or these power companies. Broker Solar offers you control. Solar can save you money. These solar batteries are amazing. You can make. Do your homework online. It's brokersolar.com or just call Ken. I trust him. I really do. You can also. 807-7417. That's 807-7417.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
That is one sexy voice on that Seawell's commercial. One sexy voice. Wouldn't mind having those what do you call them? Those
the pipes.
Yeah, the pipes. I wouldn't mind having those pipes myself, you know. Either those pipes or Alan Smothers pipes. I'm not sure which I'd rather have.
There you go. That's a tough decision.
Two quality sets of pipes there, boys and girls. Time for recruiting. Brought to you by Seawell's, as you heard. And, of course, the daily luncheon buffet at Seawell's rolls on into a big Thursday.
Yeah, fried pork chops, hot and honey barbecue chicken wings, hamburgers, steak, and onions.
Hot and honey. You said hot and honey?
I said hot and honey.
That sounds like something you'd say to your girlfriend, like, Hey, you're hot, honey.
Hot and honey barbecue
hot
chicken
honey.
wings.
Hot. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
Hamburger steak and onions.
And then Friday, RBF. RBF.
It's an RBF.
All right. I wonder how many hooligans coming in for the soccer match Saturday are planning to go to Seawells for the daily luncheon buffet.
That's a good point.
Yeah. They don't know what they're missing. If you're looking for parking for the soccer match on Saturday, Seawells has made their parking area available, their tailgate area that they make available for Gamecock football, making that available for soccer. So you can grab one of those spots or line up your parking for Gamecock football. 803-771-7385. That's 803-771-7385. That's the number to call to get lined up for the best catering service in South Carolina. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So South Carolina today missed on a big piece for their offensive line. When offensive tackle Kamari Landers, 6'5", 300 of Copiah Lincoln Junior College in Mississippi, committed to Baylor. He's a native of Detroit who began his career in 2022 at Akron, played one season at the junior college. He'll have 3 years of eligibility remaining. He was available this late in the summer because he just completed his academic work. He accumulated 23 credit hours, and that pushed him over the top from a qualifying standpoint. USC was one of several schools to offer this week once he became eligible: Baylor, Houston, Utah State, and earlier Arkansas. Here's the interesting thing, Chris and Josh, about this kid. Coming out of high school in Detroit a couple of years ago, I mean, he was heavily recruited. Michigan, Michigan State, Tennessee, Kentucky. He had a very impressive-looking offer list. Now, I don't know if he ended up at Akron. I don't know if maybe academic questions, chased those schools away or what have you. But he had some big-time schools, and he was getting big-time recruiting attention, and now he's going to go to Baylor. The 2025 recruiting class for South Carolina did take another hit today, or took a hit today. This is a different class. It took a hit today when linebacker Jaden Breaker, 6'4", 214 of Snellville, Georgia, announced he's now committed to LSU. Breaker made a visit to Baton Rouge last weekend and was offered by the Tigers. And I can hear it now in Baton Rouge in Tiger Stadium, Chris. He needs to wear number 19 so he can be Breaker 19. Huh? Like that.
Only people our age and above would actually get that.
Josh, do you know what I'm talking about when I say Breaker 19? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I've heard it, but I don't know the reference.
Well, back in the day, there was something called CB radio.
CB radio.
Yeah, I got that.
They're
That's
still
what truckers
around, I
use.
think.
Yeah,
CB
truckers use
radio.
those. Yeah.
And people who use CB radio, they had handles. And there was also a little code, right? They had different code words. And if you wanted to break into a conversation on the CB radio, you would push your little button and you'd go Breaker 19. Right? Is that right, Chris? Wasn't it Breaker 1? Was it Breaker 19 the code for let me in?
But I do know that Breaker 19 was pretty popular.
Yeah.
So that would be my guess.
I think that's what it was. I think that's what you said when you wanted to get in there. So anyway, tell you what, that'd be a great little NIL promotional deal for him. Breaker 19. Anyway, he's going to be at LSU. So I think that's a pretty significant loss for South Carolina in their class. They do have 18 commitments in the class. They do have 3 linebackers, but he had Rutgers, Utah, Kentucky, and NC State as his finalists before he picked South Carolina. And then he goes ahead and commits to LSU after making a visit there over the weekend. So in recruiting, as we've said for 40 years, it's not scientific. There is no science when it comes to recruiting. There is no rhyme or reason. Recruiting just happens. 2026 linebacker Keenan Britt of Oxford, Alabama, was scheduled to visit USC today. We'll follow up and see how that went. He was at Oregon over the weekend. Riverside receiver Mikael Skinner was in to see the Gamecocks on Tuesday. And, of course, recruiting goes dead as of tonight. So the August dead period hits, yeah. So everybody can focus on their seasons. 2026 linebacker Anthony Davis of Loganville, Georgia, was offered by Clemson Tuesday while on a visit, and he will visit Auburn today, or he did visit Auburn today. One-time Clemson target safety Anquan Fagans of Alabaster, Alabama, committed to Auburn earlier in the week. Hammond tight end Mike Tyler told Lou Bajak of the States, why does Lou have such a difficult name to spell? You know, that's a hard name. B-E-Z-J-A. Can you imagine being a kid and having to write your name like over and over again and having to put a Z in there?
Oh, yeah.
It's tough.
And it keeps moving. Sometimes it's in front of the J and sometimes it's after the J.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. It's supposed to be in front of the J.
I misspell it all the time. I have to ask Lou that when next time I see he'll come back and say, well, what about corn blue? What kind of name is that?
My guess is you ran into it too when you were growing up. How many people have added an H to the end of your name?
Oh, my name's been abused. It's been abused for decades. Anyway, Mike Tyler, the tight end from Hammond, he told Scoop he's got a final three of Duke, LSU, and West Virginia, with Duke and LSU the favorites. Plans a decision in August, possibly on his birthday, August 18th. Tyler was at LSU over the weekend, third visit to Baton Rouge this summer, including an official visit June 21st. Camden cornerback Jordan Krim was offered by Mississippi State. That's his second SEC offer, joining Vanderbilt. We still consider Vanderbilt to be an SEC offer, don't we? Yeah.
Yes.
I think we do. Wide receiver Jackson Rep of Christ Church was offered by Buffalo. Hello, Pete Limbo. Former Dillon 2026 quarterback Josiah Oxendine has transferred to Forest Hills High School in Marshville, North Carolina. There you go. There you go. There you go with the recruiting report for tonight, brought to you by Seawells. Let's get it right. Brought to you by Seawells. So you had something to say?
I've got two stories that I find fascinating about rewriting history. First off, Reggie Bush's Heisman has returned to Southern California. Of course, it was taken away by the Heisman Trust because the accusations against Reggie were that SC cheated to get him into school, paid him and his family and the whole 9 yards. But let's rewrite history because now that would be legal, even though it was illegal back then. So his Heisman is back. That's not the most egregious of the two things. The other thing, and this is an interesting debate that we can have further because of how conferences are going to view athletes as the conference expansion and teams change leagues and the like. But the Atlantic Coast Conference had the audacity this afternoon to tweet out and congratulate Katie Ledecky on her Olympic record, saying, Ledecky bringing home the gold, hashtag accomplished greatness, and this is my favorite one, hashtag Olympians made here. Katie Ledecky swam at Stanford in the late 20-teens. She was not an ACC member. Her school was not in the Atlantic Coast Conference. She's never swam in an Atlantic Coast Conference meet, yet the ACC, because Stanford is now magically in the league, is going to claim another gold medal thanks to her, which I just find repulsive.
That's funny. So, is the ACC going to claim John Elway for their Legends class one day?
That's a great question. I would think so.
How far back do you go with this?
I think if you did not, as an athlete, if you did not perform and play in that league, you shouldn't be eligible. The league should not have its rights put on you. Katie Ledecky was a Pac-12 swimmer, not an Atlantic Coast Conference swimmer.
Yeah, that's it's kind of embarrassing for the ACC, if you ask me.
It's ridiculous
that they would do.
I mean,
that,
it really is.
Come on, ACC, you're better than that, aren't you? You're better than that. Trying to claim somebody that never put their toe into ACC water before.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, really. All right. Let's go to Tennessee, shall we? Talk about the Volunteers. Josh Heupel thinks he's got another really good team, and why shouldn't he? He's got a hotshot quarterback. They've had a string of hotshot quarterbacks, of course, and now they've got a very highly paid hotshot quarterback to step in. Now, you're dealing with the freshman syndrome as a quarterback. He played a little bit last year, but obviously did not play in critical situations. So they're going to suffer a little bit because of that. But he is a talented guy. You know, I worked on his name quite a lot at SEC Media Days. I'm sure I'm not going to get it right. Nico Iamaleava. Sure, that's a little bit off.
There you go.
That's what it looks like, but looking at the pronunciation guide, as I recall at SEC Media Days, it was a little bit different than that. But Iamaleava will work for me. 6'6", 215, and, you know, Tennessee has the typical Tennessee array of stars on the offensive line and at the skill position. So coming off a 9-4, which I think was a disappointment for them after they were so good with Hendon Hooker at quarterback. They went from 46 points per game to 32 points per game. I'm not sure any team in the country had that kind of an offensive drop-off of 2 touchdowns. They went from 46 to 32. Their defense was better. They went from 23 to 20. So they were pretty good on defense once again. Now, they've got an interesting opening month. Once they play Chattanooga, August 31st, they'll play NC State in Charlotte. So we're going to learn a lot about those two. Then after a Kent State blowout on the 14th, they go to Oklahoma. And then a week off, they go to Arkansas. Then they have a 4-game homestand with an off date in the middle. Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. They do play at Georgia. So kind of a mix of some really tough in there. Tough out-of-conference game, you'd say, against NC State. They're going to be tested. If this quarterback picks it up, if he's the real deal with some of the other people they've got, Tennessee's going to be right there in that middle part of the SEC, that upper middle part, not quite to the top 3 or 4, but maybe above 6, 7, 8, maybe in that 4 or 5 area with a chance to do any better, to do better. Of course, the athletic program, the overall athletic program at Tennessee has been red hot of late. And at SEC Media Days, Heupel touched on all of that before touching on his football team.
You look at the success that our brand, our logo has had recently with baseball, but basketball during the course of the winter. And you look at all the team sports across the board being in postseason play. I think it really speaks to the trajectory of our university, our athletic department, where it's going, but it also speaks to the leadership that we have there. So fortunate to work with Danny White, our athletic director, Chancellor Plowman, and President Boyd. They're visionaries. They give us all the tools to go compete and have created an unbelievable experience for our student athletes there on the campus. The brand is stronger than it's ever been. And really excited about where we're at on the football side of it, but where we're going. As I sit here today, it's hard to believe that this is the 4th year, the 4th time that I've been here at SEC Media Days. And I look back so proud of what our staff and our players have built, the connection, the committedness, the care factor that they have for each other in the program. 20 wins over the last couple of years, top 3 in the league, the best that it's been in 20 years on Rocky Top. As good as it's been, the future is extremely bright, and we're in a race to get where we need to extremely quickly. Proud of the culture that we've built. I mentioned that a second ago. We got unbelievable players that care about the people around them and attack every single day the right way. And they do it right on the field. They do it right in the meeting room, but they do it right in the classroom as well and in our community. As you look at us academically, we've shattered every record over the last 3 years, have reset that record for fall term GPAs. I think we had 63 individuals that were recognized by the conference at the end of the regular season. And we're fortunate enough to have some of those guys here with us today. We got 3 really special individuals that are with us today. They represent all that's good in college football. They represent what it means to be a Vol. I take great pride in that we could have had a lot of different players come with us here to Dallas and have an opportunity to speak with you. But these three guys have unique stories and are great ambassadors for the Tennessee Volunteers. Keenan Peely started over 37 games in his career. Unfortunately, had a season-ending injury week 1 of last year. Decided to come back for another year of college football. He loved his experience on Rocky Top and is a dynamic playmaker that's poised to have an unbelievable season. Cooper Mays, preseason All-American center, has started for us for 4 straight years. It's in his blood to be on Rocky Top. His father played there. His brother played there. It's vitally important to him, and he's a great member of our squad, and he's got great understanding of who we are offensively, the ability to communicate, and has great leadership skills as well. Omari Thomas, who is here for his second time, is a 4-year starter for us at defensive tackle. He's kind of the mayor inside of our locker room. He is our SEC representative on the NCAA Football Oversight Committee, but is vitally important to who and what we are as a program. In our 4 years there, he's been a great leader every single year. This football team that we have, when we embarked on our offseason, when we got back in January, it's a unique roster in that we're really experienced at certain spots, in particular on the line of scrimmage, and we have some youth that surrounds them. The challenge has been that our young guys can't be young when we get to the fall. The leadership that we have from our veterans, the young guys coming in, buying into the culture, competing every single day. This has been a great group, a great team up until this part of the offseason, the first 3 quarters of our offseason. They've been unbelievable in their work habits, their competitiveness, how they've attacked every single rep, every single day. And I cannot wait to get to training camp. I'm ready to go compete with these guys on the grass. And I know Vol Nation is excited about the season that we're ready to embark upon as well. It's hard to believe that training camp's right around the corner, in less than 2 weeks. We're ready to go compete. We got great renovations that are going on inside of Neyland Stadium, one of the great venues in all of sports, let alone college football. Our fan base is extremely passionate. Season ticket waiting list of over 15,000 people, and we'll be ready to go kick off here in a little over a month.
All right, comments of Josh Heupel, Tennessee coach at Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee, Chris, got a lot to feel good about in their athletic program right now. Baseball team wins a national championship. Basketball team, of course, is one of the best in the country. Football's been right up there, really good, looking to bounce back and get to the playoffs this year. And I think they'll have a good shot at that. I mentioned they got their offensive line. Much of that is back. They'll be very good on the offensive line. If the quarterback play, they had Joe Milton at quarterback last year and was not, of course, the mobile quarterback that Hooker was, a guy with a massively strong arm, but not so accurate and not so protective of the football. So I think this new quarterback, this freshman quarterback, gives them a little bit more of a running threat to go along with what he can do in the passing game. So he's kind of the complete package. That's why, reportedly he signed an $8 million NIL deal when NIL was still young in its infancy, coming out of high school, when, of course, that was not supposed to be able to be done, but it was done. And I guess it's sort of been – you don't hear people talking about his NIL deal much anymore.
No, it's kind of passé now because everybody's getting deals coming out of high school or certainly when they get to college. And, I'm going to be fascinated to watch them in particular. I'm assuming Josh Heupel is going to continue to play as fast as possible. And now that you have the new helmet technology, how much quicker can they possibly play? Because he or his offensive coordinator is going to be able to basically speak into the quarterback's helmet as soon as the ball is out of his hands. All right, here's what we're running next. I mean, they could literally add another 5-10 plays to already what it was one of the fastest tempo team in the country the last couple of years. I mean, I think they may be one of those teams that will really take advantage of the new technology.
Yeah. I don't know about all that for me. I saw nothing wrong with hand signals and old-fashioned way of, and I'm talking NFL as well. I know they do it in the NFL, and this is a bleed down from that. And, I wonder in these communications, like when you're talking to your quarterback and you're calling a play and you can say, okay, now keep an eye on that safety creeping up. I mean, can you give coaching advice while you're giving him the play call? Why can't you, right? Can't you slip in some coaching advice?
No, my understanding is the way it's going to work is the signal. I don't know how it's going to happen, who's in charge of turning it off. But I think with 15 seconds, I believe, left on the play clock. Now, Tennessee, they can be up there and they can have it snapped and still have plenty of time on the play clock. I'm assuming once the ball is snapped, it's going to go dead. But my understanding is with 15 seconds, I believe it is, left on the play clock, the audio will be turned off. Now, again, I don't know who's handling that. That would have to be a neutral third party, I would think, to handle that for both teams. Because you can also talk to the defense. So, yeah, I don't know how that's going to work, but you're right. I mean, could you conceivably have the coach in your head as you're scrambling out to the right? Hey, there's a guy bearing down on you from behind. I mean, I'm not sure I want that much conversation going on.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that. And I really hate it, to be honest with you. I don't understand why baseball went to this electronic setup for their pitchers to receive the call, the pitch call. I mean, you're talking about one of the great sports customs, I guess, getting the signal from the catcher hiding the signal from the opposing dugout, and, 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 fingers, and the different fingers flashing, and catchers putting fingernail polish on their fingers so the pitchers can see their fingernails better to pick up that's part of the beautiful thing about sports that we are just killing. We're killing the human element, the human side of sports with all this technology. You can't do that now. Now you're going to have, in your headset, it's going to sound like a NASCAR crew chief talking to his driver, or a spotter talking to the, Y27 Z48 cross Smithtown and keep an eye out for the blitzing linebacker coming off the edge, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I just there's just some points we all just say enough, and let's play sports like we're supposed to play sports and not like a bunch of robots.
Well, you can blame Connor Stallions for all of this. The Michigan staffer who was accused of stealing signs in the whole 9 yards and cheating on the sidelines and in the stands and everything else he was alleged to have done. So you can pretty much call this the Connor Stallions rule.
Well, somebody's going to find a way to break into these systems and steal the audio and steal the information somehow. You wait and see. Somebody's going to get inside that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming off one of the worst IT situations. What was it? The update that screwed up everything. I mean, if computers can be hacked fairly, for somebody who's clever enough, fairly easily, it appears, I wouldn't believe it'd be all that difficult to hack, technology within the stadium.
You would think not. Recruiting reminder: Javon Gilmore, the quarterback at Gaffney in the 2026 class, he is announcing tomorrow at 3:00. He's got NC State, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Arkansas, and Texas A&M as his top schools, so we'll see what happens there. Plus, Dabo Sweeney, Shane Beamer tomorrow night, Mike Morgan too. Should be a big one. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, Josh. Have a good night, everybody.